Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday, and I am going to talk about Elon Musk buying Twitter and why I don't think it is at all worth the freaking out so many progressives have done about it. Yeah, Elon Musk has not the best filter when it comes to the stuff he shares on Twitter. Do I think he's going to have to get better at that now that he's the owner of Twitter? Yes. But I have done a lot of reading about both the nature of the deal that he put together to buy Twitter. And hey, it's not finalized yet. The shareholders still have to vote and a bunch of things. It's going to take 3 to 6 months to finalize. He could walk away, right? We don't know that. It's not a done deal yet. But let's assume he does buy it, and that's why I don't understand why people are quitting Twitter now. He's not going to do anything for 3 to 6 months. Why not take the 3 to 6 months to at least migrate the people who, like your content over to, I don't know what else people are going to various things. I remember during Gamergate, people were like, I'm going to Mastodon, forget this. And it didn't last. And so, I mean, yeah, there was that right-wing exodus to Parler and Gab and stuff like that. I'm not sure how well that worked either. But I think that based on what I've read, there is very little that Elon Musk has done that is terrible. He's engaged with a few hard right figures, but I'm sure if you looked, he has engaged with some, people who are very, very far to the left as well. He posted some memes that are not necessarily accurate. We've all done that. So on and so forth. He hasn't done anything yet except say that he'd like, and I'm paraphrasing this quote, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but he wants Twitter to be a free speech platform with very few limitations beyond the law. He didn't say the law, only the law. Just not much beyond the law. That's not the same thing. Now, there are questions of which law? More on that in a bit. Let me do the help support this channel. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. The thumbnail in memory of Momo. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for somebody who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. We need 3 a week. 3 a week to keep up the current level of support. I would love to do more. I love Leanna Cares. I love those sessions. They are the highlight of my freaking week. That and writing Song of Sparkle Muffin stuff. Those are the 2 highlights of my week. It's great to have 2 highlights now. It's so good. Yeah, and that's not like YouTube is miserable, and it's not that I don't enjoy Twitch. My professional life is pretty good right now. I'd like to be making more money, but in terms of fulfillment and enjoyment of work, no complaints. Okay, sidebar over. Let's get back to the topic. Yeah. So the freaking out is about what Elon Musk is going to do, not what he has done. He is very inexperienced at running a social media company, but like many CEOs, I mean, did he have any experience in building electric cars? No, he hired scientists that knew how to build electric cars. And I suspect one of 2 things will happen if the deal actually goes through. He will hire a bunch of people right off the bat to figure out these problems, or he will get bored very quickly and either sell the company to someone else, take it public again, or, step away and just let the company run. And there's a few reasons I say that. One, he's very rich. And very, very rich people don't do things that aren't fun or that they're not passionate about. And if he can't get his way on the free speech thing, he's going to lose interest pretty quickly. And then it's going to be, well, how can I make money at this? Very, very rich people, though, there's always a script running in the back of their head. How could I make money at this? Money is a game for people at that level. I have enough exposure to very wealthy people to know this. Even when they think it's not about money, it's about money. And it's not even about money because they've never lived without money, at least not in a very long time. It's about the principle of money. They like making money. They have the same, this is a really, really politically incorrect metaphor, but they have the same relationship to money that a gamer has to their gamer score, or a person with an eating disorder has to the reading on the scale. They want to see it going in the direction that makes them happy, right? People are very attached to their gamer score. I don't understand it. I don't even know what my gamer score is on various platforms because I'm all over the place. I'm not invested in it. You guys know I have very weak identity markers, except for gamer. Right, Judgy Cthulhu? Right. I have very, very weak personal identity in terms of I am statements, right? So I have trouble relating to this stuff. I am so much more of a craftsman personality of it's about the work. But some people are not that. Some people, it is about that connection to a value, like the show Silicon Valley, that goofy hyperactive billionaire who kept saying he was part of the 3 Commas Club, and made a tequila that was Spanish for 3 commas, and his net worth was his identity. And very rich people are like that. So Elon Musk is not going in this prepared to fail. And the realities of the situation and the realities, I don't think he's stupid. I think he knows the realities because he's not only tied a ton of his remaining Tesla stock to the success of Twitter, but he's also, let me read the breakdown of the Twitter deal, because this is really important regarding how he's going to go forward and where I formulated a lot of my opinions about this. It's a $46.5 billion deal. Okay. 21 billion of that is in cash. He sold some Tesla shares to get that. He sold more than $8 billion in Tesla stock. So the rest of it is just his own money. He has it throwing around. Being rich is really fucking nice, right? But that's only 21 billion of 46.5 billion. This is the crazy thing about these sorts of deals. People think, oh, I buy a house, I put down a down payment, then I mortgage it. It's real simple. No, these deals are complex. So $46.5 billion deal is only 21 billion in cash. This is how the ultra rich work. Another 12.5 billion is from a margin loan. And yes, I've got this on my phone because I was studying this. A margin loan is money personally borrowed by Elon Musk, a whole bunch of banks, with Tesla shares as collateral. Apparently, it's an interest rate of around 4%. So he's now paying 4% on the debt. Rich people don't like to lose money. Okay. They like to blow money. They don't like to lose money. All right. But that's still not $46.5 billion, right? There's a remaining 13 billion that's a loan. It's a group of loans again. He's personally leveraged to 12 banks with Tesla stock. But then there's 7 banks funding $13 billion that's going to be the company, that's going to be Twitter's responsibility to repay. So Elon Musk has to make at least 4% of his debt to cover the debt. And then Twitter itself has higher interest rate loans, from 5% to 10% interest. And this is where things become interesting, because Twitter makes before taxes, depreciation, all that stuff, about $1 billion a year. Typical leveraged debt, buyout debt, is 6 times that earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. 6 times. He's getting 13 times that. That is a heavy debt burden because it's doubled, right? He's taking on a lot of debt, which either he's not great with impulse control, which, yes, based on his tweets, he's not, but a lot of very rich people are not. They are risk takers because they can fail 9 times and hit it huge on the 10th, and that's how they make their money. But he's not stupid. You can say whatever you want about Elon Musk. He's not stupid. So he's not going to tank Twitter's advertising revenue in the short term. He's going to start adding things on before he starts murdering the company's balance sheet. He's a businessman. This is his language. They don't do dumb shit that way. It's not in their instincts. He did some very risky things with Tesla, but there's risky and then there's just friggin' stupid. And people like him don't just do friggin' stupid unless he's lost his mind, which is possible. Okay. He's also got a bunch of kids. Dude has an expensive lifestyle. Dude likes money. Dude is going to make money. Okay. And one thing, the reason Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff cracked down, at least gave lip service to cracking down on stuff like hate speech, is advertisers don't want their content on platforms where people have a horrible user experience. They don't want that where they put their ads. This makes sense. And so this is where the whole, which laws was Elon Musk referring to, right? Because ideally, and he has talked about consistency and transparency in rules as well. So he's not going to be able to say, well, US law applies to everybody, because places like the European Union and Canada's CRTC and the federal government will go, we're not allowing content. We're not allowing Canadians to be bombarded with crap because America has a very different standard for what, they consider the limitations on free speech, because free speech has limitations. And some people don't like to hear that, but that is fact. Even with the very, very, very free-for-all First Amendment, even the First Amendment has limitations, right? Fighting words, incitement, so on and so forth. So he's gonna have those issues, and the simplest thing, the way the rules make the most sense, is one standard for everybody. So he didn't say U.S. law. He said the law. Now, he hinted later that he meant U.S. law, but it wasn't all in the same place, so we'll see. It would make more sense if it was sort of, the top, the G8, the G7 at least, their free speech laws. So it's the same rules for everyone. Now that places in the UK have those pesky blasphemy laws off their books. I didn't know they repealed that in 2015. I learned that this week. Some people may consider that too far. The nice thing about it is it's one set of rules for everyone. And that is what Twitter needs more than anything. It isn't so much where the line is. And this is true of all social media companies. Facebook has the exact same problem. The line has to be in the same place for everyone. And The problem Twitter got into circa 2015 to, 2020-ish is that there were certain rules for blue checks and there were certain rules for everybody else. Now, I am verified on Twitter, so it's weird because people talk to me about blue checks. I guess they don't notice that I'm one of them, but you're not like those other blue checks. Okay. I think the idea that there's some sort of status in verification is stupid. Verification should just be verification. And I do believe one way Twitter could earn more money is for a reasonable fee. Anybody can verify their account. If people want to use their actual identity on Twitter and be verified for a reasonable fee, they should be able to get that. I don't understand why it's supposed to be some exclusive club based on relevance. It shouldn't be about relevance. It should be about stopping people from impersonating you and destroying your reputation. Because that is going to be the other thing that social media companies are going to have to contend with going forward. And I have been very bullish on this for years now, going back to about 2014. Social media companies are going to run out of road sooner or later with the flagrant defamation that they allow on their platform. Now, there needs to be some space for whistleblowers. I think it's important for people to be able to tell their truths, and unfortunately, we cannot trust news media anymore to be fair arbiters and properly vet stories. But there has to be a balance between somebody telling the truth and somebody just, maliciously lying to ruin someone. And as somebody who's gone through that, as somebody who people use social media to just spread absolute lies about me, it is helpless. There's nothing you can do because, first of all, you can't prove who's doing it because anon accounts. But also, even if you do know who's doing it, the only recourse to you is a civil suit. And if the person doing it doesn't have any money to take, a civil suit has no teeth. You could sue, spend a whole bunch of money yourself, win, you'll never see that money. It's not a deterrent for people unless they have something to take. And one of the things I think is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing is going to be a pivot point in history regarding reputations of public figures because of the outpouring of support for Johnny Depp. No matter how this trial goes, we are having a conversation about this because, and I think there will be a bigger conversation about it if he loses the suit. Because by now there's so much evidence that she was, I'll say, fudging in his bed. Certain parts of the story, certain major parts of her story. She wasn't playing on the up and up. And so if somebody can be caught in that many lies and that many deceptions and that many manipulations and still get away with trashing someone's reputation and claiming First Amendment rights, people feel like that's inherently unfair. So this is going to be the next big vanguard, the next big thing we need to figure out as a culture. And this always happens when communication technology, moves forward in leaps and bounds. The same kind of stuff happened when the movable type press was invented and anonymous pamphlet writing became a thing back in the day. And eventually, the system caught up. The system's catching up. And this is going to be a reality for social media companies. I do think that this whole enforcement is hard thing that you hear social media companies bemoan The truth is, enforcement's not hard. Enforcement's expensive. And that's what's going to be interesting with Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter. How is this guy, who is a dyed-in-the-wool businessman, who is prepared to lose money for a while to make money in the long term, how's he going to handle the enforcement is expensive problem? Because he's going to have some rules. And the more laissez-faire free speech his platform is, the harder enforcement is going to be. Why? Because then you have that nuance of the difference between saying something mean, saying something hateful, and saying something inciting. Because that's the First Amendment line, is it's not just saying, I hate this group of people, or I hate this person. It is whipping people up to cause immediate and predictable bad actions, violence, damage, right? And where that line is somewhat subjective, is somewhat I know it when I see it. And that's why I think where Twitter is eventually going to land is somewhere quite a ways away from that line, where it's easier to enforce consistently. Because that's what I hear from a lot of people who are to the right of me. That doesn't mean they're right wing. They're just to the right of me. They don't complain about rules existing. They don't even complain about a social media company having the right to set its own rules and codes of conduct. They just want the rules to be clear, consistently enforced, and understandable. And Twitter's rules are not right now. Twitch's rules are not. Facebook's rules are not. I navigate Twitter. It's much easier for me to navigate Twitter right now than Facebook. I got a post banned because I pointed out how another commenter's logic advocated violence. Facebook banned my post, pointing out someone else was advocating violence. Oh, Facebook. And of course, you go through their dispute resolution thing, the appeals process, and it flat out says they don't look at every single one. It's a lottery. And some people say, oh, it's just one post. Who cares? True, in the grand scheme of things. It's the principle of the thing. Enforcement shouldn't be that shitty, right? And I really think that is probably going to be, if he's smart, anyway, hey, maybe he'll watch this video. Who knows? Hi. The first thing I'd tackle is enforcement. Clean up your enforcement before you change the rules. Because if you are going to loosen the rules, your enforcement has to be top notch. Okay. So now people are probably asking, am I okay with them letting Trump back on? Oh, here's Leanna, pro-trans, pro-LGBTQ, all this stuff, believes Black Lives Matter. She's probably not going to be okay with Trump being let on. No, I'm fine if they let Trump back. I think that, okay, first of all, the guy's just probably not going to be alive and healthy enough for all that much longer, so it may be sort of a moot point. That's not me wishing ill on the guy. That's just, he's up there, right? I also think with DeSantis surging, Trump is something of a spent force, but I do think it's important that people are reminded of how much that dude is. And I don't know that he alone caused the problem that surrounded him on Twitter. It was the media hanging on his every tweet that really amplified things. It was the troll farms that jump on every silly US culture war thing, including, I saw evidence of it during the Last of Us 2 controversy. Strangely enough, a bunch of 15-year-old girls' Twitter accounts started piling on me around 9 o'clock a.m. Siberia time. And the minute I said, oh, gee, this is a coincidence, strangely, they vanished. Don't know what that means. But you're seeing it. I saw activity on it with the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap. The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, I'm seeing evidence of troll farms just mucking with Western culture. That's something old Elon's going to have to solve too, because that's a serious issue. That is more serious than one guy. And if that toxic soup surrounding the whole thing didn't exist, then Trump is a blowhard with an opinion. And the truth is, he's still being a pain in the butt. His rallies aren't drawing as many people anymore as they used to, which, was predictable the minute he was out of office. But if he gets back into politics, if he gets back into media, he will have a megaphone. He will have a platform one way or another. And I mean, he said he wouldn't go back to Twitter. Anyway, I don't believe him. You don't believe a word out of that guy's mouth. But he alone did not cause the Trump phenomenon. He didn't fuel the Trump phenomenon. That was a media creation. And so let him back on. I do think that, hey, I would be fine with, hey, let everybody back on. Give them another chance. They incite again, kick them off again. I don't have an issue with that. That seems reasonable. I think that the block button is there for a reason. And before lefties were like, oh no, I ended up on 2 block lists for following the wrong people. So strangely, before Twitter cracked down for advertising reasons, people found ways to just mass shut out people they disagreed with, or like socially shunning people who hung out with the wrong type. They were doing it before Twitter cracked down. So it's going to be so hateful. Can you tell I'm really not persuaded? I'm really not convinced that's really what this is about. But I do think that advertising piece and the fact that Musk's acquisition is so heavily leveraged by debt means that it will be slow steps towards loosening the rules on the platform, not a sudden open the floodgates, because Elon Musk, with the structure of the current deal, cannot afford for Twitter to lose money the way Tesla did for years. Unless he finds some other refinancing thing, which they do, but I'm not terribly convinced this is going to go through just because it is so leveraged. And, maybe someone will sit him down and says, this is what it means for your grand plans. But he may be good to go one step at the time and, backstop enforcement first and then relax the rules. I think people who think it's just going to be floodgates are going to be extremely disappointed on both political extremes. Because one of the things that would be very useful is for Twitter to get reclaimed from those extremely politically active users and become more a platform for people who have a more moderate point of view. And that's one of the other things Elon Musk has said, that people take him literally about the free speech thing, but not about, we're going to have to offend if we're going to be politically neutral, we have to offend the extreme left and the extreme right equally. We have to weight all of his statements similarly with equal value and in the same way. So that's my take on it. Interested to what you guys say. I'm sure I'll take some shit for that Trump thing, but I stand by it. Help support this channel if you like this sort of analysis. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. 3 every week. We need 3 every week. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.